I genuinely cannot believe what we just saw in a game that had the Habs out early. Ivan Demidov showing that he is even better than expected somehow with a filthy goal, one of the filthiest assists of the year, carrying this Habs team in a game that came down to the wire. Demidov was the one showing out time and time again, and despite the late heroics on a Juraj Slafkovsky goal, Montreal still finds themselves on the outside looking in. There is a ton of pressure on Montreal right now. We got to break everything down on this live episode of Habs Digest. I know we got a bunch of you in here right now. Everyone in the chat, give me one word on how you're feeling. Just one word. I want to hear what you're all saying. Jess, you can feel free to give more than one word. First off, we got to say thank you to all of you people who are here to watch this with us and to talk about this game. But, oh my, I mean, like, I know this ends in a negative. How are you feeling about this whole game? I'm so conflicted emotionally, dude.
I know what you mean. Honestly, it's the drama just isn't over this year for the Montreal Canadiens. All I gotta say though, despite the roller coaster of a game from obviously that amazing start, which we'll kind of break down a little bit further, Demidov, making his NHL debut look like the MHL there with his multi-point games. We've learned to kind of really expect from him here. But Josh, it's like, you know what? It doesn't matter how you get into the playoffs. If, the Habs are able to kind of clinch there, it's just the fact of getting in, kind of one way or another. We had a feeling like it might come down to kind of that final game of the year. And it's really kind of looking like that right now. Again, amazing effort to kind of tie it up late in that third, at least to kind of bring us to that shootout. I mean, such a whirlwind. It was like we thought the Mesar scored and then he didn't score. I mean,
insane.
Tonight was just absolutely like chaotic, just in so many different ways.
I mean, that last power play we got was like lucky. It was a late call. It was still a penalty, but a late call. And then we score on this crazy deflection that had no business going in. And then they let Laine shoot before even knowing if the puck went in. Okay, but you know what? We can't stay down. That's the one thing. I know I asked for one word. Most of these words in the chat are negative, but I want to just say, let's stay positive. Still, Columbus, that 1 point is huge. Columbus needs 2 regulation wins along with the Habs to lose in regulation versus Carolina. Still an unlikely scenario. We're still in a good spot, and I want you all just to leave a like if you still believe. If you want Montreal to make the playoffs, just leave a like. That's what we want here. We want all of you to stay positive. This sucks. No doubt it sucks. We want to stay positive. We do have a super chat coming in though. We got the chat going wild right now. We got a super chat coming in from Alex Safaris. I feel terrible about this loss and I think the season is over, but Ivan looked great. See, that's not the kind of, well, thank you very much for the $14 donation, but we don't want to be negative. I agree with you that Ivan looked great. He looked unreal, Jesse. The demigod showed up for sure. I think the season is far from over. Again, remember, Columbus is already on a 4-game winning streak. They still need to win 2 more with us losing. I know the Habs look nervous, Jesse, in these games, and I do wonder if that's playing a role, this kind of clutch gene or whatever. It seemed like Demidov and Hudson were the 2 guys that seemed to care the most about this win. I thought Monty made a lot of great saves tonight too, really good. But right now, season's far from over. But honestly, Jesse, like, after tonight's performance, do you see a world where our boy Demigod gets even a bump up in the lineup? I don't think he's going to go to PP1 or anything, but I bet you're going to see some more ice time because tonight, let me take a look here. How much time did he play on ice tonight? Let me go find it. 16:55, one of our most used forwards. Wouldn't shock me if he was pushing 20 minutes next game.
Already above his average of 14 minutes a night in SKA there. Off to a great start. But yeah, like obviously we're able, like the way that setup on Newhook was just absolutely unreal. Like basically, Newhook did have a nice finish. It wasn't just a tap, and he did roof it. But I mean, like, Demidov does all the work to really kind of set this up here. So, I mean, like, I could definitely see him, potentially maybe, like, in the future, like, playing with a little bit more of a finisher. Because even though Newhook was able to get that one goal, like, how many opportunities, like, Josh, this period, even Nick Suzuki having, like, those golden opportunities. Even going back to the Leafs games, like, I couldn't help but think of, like, all these chances were just that puck is like in the crease, but we just can't really get our puck on it, or rather our stick on it there. So you have to feel like Demidov was absolutely unreal tonight. Like again, showing that playmaking. We had some people in kind of the pre-show, live, obviously kind of calling that playmaking there to Nui. But you have to feel like with a finisher, even with a Patrick Laine, even though he didn't look the best 5v5 at certain points, like you'd have to feel like maybe Laine would be able to kind of finish off a little bit more of these opportunities. Although Nui's still getting on the board for us. That still count. That still was big. But I mean, like Demidov, like just absolutely unreal, Josh. Like going back to like, kind of a quasi kind of breakaway goal there, right? Like freezing on the goalie with that slap shot, right? And then those quick hands that we're just really seeing all night. There was kind of a like that first and that second period where it's like every time Demidov was just getting on the ice, he is just making stuff happen. So even though we weren't able to get the 2 points tonight, Demidov definitely, helping this team already secure that one still very important point here. And, he's definitely going to look to build down the stretch here in this final game when it matters the most.
Oh, you got to know he will. He's looking at this team now. He's like, well, I got to carry? All right, I'm going to do it myself. And I know he can. We got a lot of super chats to get into here right now, Jesse. We got to roll through it. Thank you all so much for the generosity. Almost 400 people in here. We got Dan L saying, it's Demidov's team, 93's team. MSL is gone. No lessons to teach the kid. He's the only reason we had a chance this game. Number one shooter. Hey, 93, go get him. I agree Demidov was awesome. I agree that this is looking like it could be his team for years to come. I really strongly disagree with the take that MSL's gone. I feel like that's extreme short-term memory. Yeah, it was a weird decision, but also, like, imagine you're in Marty St. Louis' shoes. Caufield, Suzuki, Laine's had some, we can't forget, he had some filthy breakaway and shootout moves this season. Caufield has been reliable in the shootout. Suzuki's now 0 for 5 this year. He was unreal last year. If you're the coach, would you have put Demidov in there instead of those guys? Maybe you would, maybe you wouldn't. I really don't agree with the take that MSL, he's getting way too much hate. We got here with this system that he implemented, that he has been trying to get this team to buy into the whole year. We've gone on crazy win streaks. I mean, I really appreciate the donation, Dan. Jesse, I don't know. I just can't get on board with the MSL hate. Do I wish I saw Demidov more? Absolutely I do. But I can't say I'm upset at Marty for the decision he made in the shootout as much as I really wanted to see Ivan go out there.
There would be a lot of pressure to kind of put Demidov in as kind of that third final guy in just his first game there. But we were all kind of hoping and almost kind of quasi-wishing because we saw him on the bench where he's giving was it a 3? Was it a 4? Like, it kind of looked like a 3. Like, I was almost expecting him to kind of jump over. Yeah. And to be honest, I was like, you know what? I had faith that it's like, okay, if Demidov's going to jump over as the third kind of skater for the shootout. Like, we've seen the hands that he has. He's shown it in this game. Right? Like, there is going to be that point in time where we are going to rely on him. Next game. Here now. He's going to, he's definitely part of the toolkit from now. And there is going to be those situations where Marty is going to go to him a little bit sooner. Obviously, Demidov, though, just doing, like, a little bit of everything tonight. Like, obviously, showing the star player is. I mean, we do have to give a shout-out to our boy Lane Hudson. Passing Chris Chelios for most assists by a rookie D-man.
Most points.
Slaf getting that magical, 50 points on the season. Some good milestones. But, I mean, this was Demidov, though, tonight. We're really, just not being afraid to kind of take it over. Even though we're not able to get those 2 points, there is some tremendous signs. We still believe here. We can still get in. I'm still a believer that we're going to find a way to get in these playoffs. Will Demidov absolutely help with that? But, tonight we just saw what he can do, not just tonight, but in the future as well. That this guy is really an impact player, that he's going to be a difference maker, and his confidence is just going to grow from here, and we're not done seeing the multi-point nights from him.
No, and don't forget, look at this. This is the game scorecard. Guess who's right on the top? Yeah. No coincidence that Demidov, Newhook, and Armia were by far the 3 highest game scores on the team. Crazy, right? Not really. That's what we expected. Insane. Got to move on to the next one. We got a lot of super chats, Jesse. We got to fly through these here. Ethan Mods. Ethan, one of our largest supporters. Hall of Fame member. Thank you for being here. I feel like Demidov got you to overtime with those first goals. I don't know how you don't play him in the shootout, especially with how electric the crowd would have been. Again, it comes down to this, veterans, guys who've been on your team a while versus Demidov, and, part of me, though, Jesse, as much as I understand where Marty's coming from, I'm sure, with that decision, you go with your reliable guys who have been in these high-pressure situations before. We forget Suzuki and Caufield have played Game 7s in the playoffs and won them. These are guys with the clutch gene, and Laine's been amazing in the shootout as much as he made a lot of mistakes in the game tonight. But at the same time, one thing that I know about this team, we don't have egos. Do you think anyone's ego would have been bruised if Demidov went out there instead of them? Again, it's maybe weird optics to put, imagine this on the other hand. Imagine Demidov goes out there instead of Suzuki and he misses and is bad, and then Chicago wins, and you're like, wow, you didn't even put out your captain in the shootout. It would have been different. Look, I still think he probably should have gone, but I don't know. It's kind of the same thing again, but Ethan, I'm kind of on board. I get it. I wish we could have saw more. He almost got sprung on that breakaway pass in overtime, but I'm sure we'll see him in the shootout in the future.
For sure. And, if you are putting Demidov in there, you definitely have the argument, okay, we're kind of playing the hot hand. The thing about Nick Suzuki is that he hasn't been great on the shootouts this year, but going back for the last couple years, traditionally, he has been very good on them. So there is kind of, we know in the NHL, there's a little bit of that pecking order with the vets. And while this is still a selfless team, is, those guys, they want to assert themselves as well. And that's why I feel like there's actually will be a benefit of Demidov on certain guys like a Patrick Laine or even like a Juraj Slafkovsky, who they're going to be happy for Demidov, but they're going to know, like, wait, like, I got skill, I got talent too. I want to be that guy and that difference maker as well. So I feel like there will be kind of that effect, that it might kind of bring out a little bit of that skill and a little bit of that finesse, which we know is part of their games as well.
Sure hope so. We'll move on to the next one here from Jared Ryan. Jared, thank you so much for the $14. Demidov is the real deal. Patrick Laine is a massive liability on all ends of the ice. Some Claude Julien like favoritism with the shootout selection, but hindsight is 2020. Go Habs, go. We got this. Yeah, I mean, Jesse, I will say I was really not impressed by Laine tonight. A couple of very crucial turnovers. The shootout is whatever. Like, I have full faith for him to pot that most times. Like, it was a great save by Soderblom, who once again always shows up against Montreal. I feel like we also got to acknowledge that we had a ton of really high danger chances, and Soderblom made some great saves as well. But I thought Laine had a really bad game today. And look, it is what it is. There's not much you can do about it now. And I mean, looking at the game scorecard, where is he even? Yeah, he's like right down the middle. But like, at the same time, I'm all for that. Look, like, shootout, hindsight's 2020. I love that take, Jared. Go Habs, go. We got this. And again, just a reminder, guys, it still takes a lot for Montreal to miss the playoffs. Like, we're still good. We're still rolling, Jesse. And the belief in this team is what got us here. And I think it's what's going to get us even further.
For sure. And that's going to be the big thing. But obviously, we know the roadmap going forward. There's kind of two games out kind of coming back with the Leafs where we're able to get a little bit of a better start in this game. That's a positive. But kind of for the negatives, again, taking too many of those penalties and often kind of back-to-back kind of hurting our momentum. But also, not quite getting enough shots on the net is,
Yes.
like, for us to be this playoff team, we're going to really need to show that we deserve it. And it's going to really take a full effort, right? Like, we're not going to get given the playoffs. In fact, that's just going to serve us that much more when we are there, of really kind of earning it there. So I think that Montreal Canadiens, they know what they need to do kind of going forward, but it's a young team about kind of putting that into practice. We're seeing some positive steps, but at the same time, this was a game that we definitely wanted to win tonight against Chicago. But chalk it up to a young team. It's a young team. They're kind of holding on to their sticks a little bit tighter than they should because they haven't quite been at these situations as a group in a long time. And that's really the part of it, though. You need to get through this. You need to kind of experience that. We still have this opportunity again to get in the playoffs. Still a very good chance. And that's what really matters. Once you get into the playoffs, we all know it's a new season from there. We're playing with found money at that point if we're able even, to get in, which I really do believe. But, once it's there, it's about having that reset and really kind of getting back to that belief in this team.
Yeah, and look, I think a lot of us in this chat do have that belief. Next super chat, Ron says, I do consider, Ron Kenniston, by the way. Guys, leave some love for all these super chats. This is incredible. Like, seriously, thank you so much for the support, even despite this loss. We're here to chat with all of you. We're just as disappointed as you are, but we believe. That's the big thing. We're all about positivity, baby. You guys know if you're real fans of the channel. Ron, one of our Hall of Fame members. Ron, thank you so much for the incredibly kind donation. I do consider myself a big picture guy. Having said that, I do think we will get into the playoffs, even though I think we will back in with a CBJ loss. Demidov showed us what he's capable of. The future is bright. Ron, that's exactly what we want to see, what we want to hear. Like, again, it's possible. Like, it's still very possible. Still like an 85% chance, right? Like, a lot of things have to go wrong for us to miss. And why would I, like, especially looking at how good Ivan was tonight, that's how the in-arena announcer for the Bell Center was saying his name, Ivan. So that's what I'm going to do. The prime announcers were saying Ivan. I don't think he really cares. I got to imagine. But absolutely, like, it's still very possible. We got to watch out for that Columbus game. They play again tomorrow and again Thursday. So again, it's still in our hands. One more point gets us in, or any kind of Blue Jackets. The Blue Jackets can't even go to overtime. If the Blue Jackets go to overtime, we're in because they can't beat us with the regulation win. So that's the big thing. But again, Ron, thank you so much. I know, Jesse, we've been talking a lot about this. Like, big picture, it's tough to see after a loss like this. I know the reactions are going to be negative, but again, just to maybe rehash what we've already said, the big picture is extremely bright at the very least. And see, I'd like to see Demidov mix up the lines a bit. He was paired with Newhook and Laine a bit at the end. Didn't really get much going, but I think I'd like to see a full game of that.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, it's like with all these opportunities that we know Demidov is creating, we just need kind of that finishing touch. He even was able to kind of, resurrect Newhook's goal scoring there a little bit just to show like what he could do with a Patrick Laine out on the line with him there. So the way that he's playing right now too is obviously like he would look really good on a PP1 for obvious reasons, and it is about finding that right balance there. Slav, I was happy that he was able to get onto the board in this game. However, I didn't find it was his strongest effort in a lot of parts of this game, of a little bit, again, just kind of bumbling with the puck at certain points, of just not making a little bit of those simpler plays. I really love for the Montreal Canadiens just to get back to that north-south type of hockey there, just kind of getting a little bit more things, directing front of the net with some traffic there. Again, that's where we had our success later on in the game. So you have to feel like Martin St. Louis will get that message home eventually.
And look, one thing that drove me nuts was the flips out of our own zone. Like, we seem to not have an actual breakout plan against one of the worst defensive teams in the league. Like, it was weird. I thought Slav was at least physical tonight. He was going into the boards hard, winning puck battles, but yeah, he didn't have a ton of crisp passes like we're used to from him. A couple of them weren't quite there. The effort was there, I will say, from Slav. Just the skill didn't really land with me tonight. Like, again, getting one to bounce in off him, hey, maybe that's what unlocks him again. See him on bounce in off you after not getting a ton of goals. Hopefully that's something that happens. Next chat. Dan is down on Marty St. Louis, but it's okay, Dan. We welcome all kinds of different opinions in here. Says, I'm out, gentlemen. 93 shoots. Number one line did nothing. MSL didn't coach. Good night. Listen, Dan, hey, doesn't matter. Even though we don't agree necessarily, I just want to thank you seriously for being here, being part of the stream. I know a lot of the fans are on board with you. Some of the fans are on board with us. Totally understandable for you to be upset after a game like that. But again, I wanted to sincerely thank you for being here. Really appreciate these donations. And we got to go next to Ethan. Ethan, another Hall of Fame member with another $10 donation. The reason this one hurts so much is because of what it means to win this going against a bottom team on Ivan Demidov's debut, where he gets 2 points in the first 10 minutes and we still choke it. I think that's what makes this one, I agree. It's what makes it hurt a little more than I think we would have wanted, because we knew what the stakes were. What I will say though, Jesse, the team came out hot. They didn't have a slow start like usual. It's just this time, again, you know what I saw creeping back in? It does hurt because it reminds me of the last couple of years, Jesse, where we'd have a lead and we started playing not to lose. And the team's breakouts looked a little more nervous. There was a couple guys making these game-breaking plays, like Lane Hudson, like Demidov. Those guys were going out there and making a huge impact. Reminder, highest game score on the team, by the way. But again, it does hurt to have that. And you got to understand, like, these guys are super nervous too. You have to imagine. And but yeah, I think that does make it sting a little bit, because it reminds us of what was, but also gave us such a bright glimpse of the future while still keeping us in a prime playoff spot. I mean, like, as much as it sucks to lose, that point is crucial. And again, I think there are still a lot of positives to take out of this.
Definitely. Maybe just a little bit too many penalties there, but
yeah,
a lot of heart still to tie it up in this third. We've been one of the best third period teams in the NHL. We needed a big one there to at least kind of get a point out of it here tonight. And again, finding a way kind of somehow, it still does matter. We definitely want this W. But again, even the team showed a little bit of maturity, I found, in the overtime period when it was the 3-on-3 there. In terms of picking their spots, like there's that positive sort of growth. It's okay. We're tying the game late, but now once we get into overtime, being a little bit smart there, and we know once you get into a shootout, it's really kind of anybody's game from there. Demidov will definitely be an amazing resource to use there in the future as well. But yeah, I think it's about kind of doing ourselves those type of favors, right? Where again, we're taking a lot of penalties where, again, we're kind of defeating ourselves in a lot of ways by just kind of doing that, especially when it's kind of back to back there. So I think that's just really one kind of key thing for the Montreal Canadiens to look at, and it kind of finding those lanes, they get a little bit more of those pucks on net. But, that being said, like Ivan Demidov is going to be there for us in the future. It's just about not kind of relying on him as much as we did tonight.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, you don't want to shoulder the whole load in this guy. But hey, we got to where we are with our current squad, and I know we can still get over this hump. Next chat, Dan again, $5. Dan, again, us. We're very positive people. Logical for ego. MSL was the ego. Kid will outshine his career. I think that one's a bit harsh. We're going to move on to the next one. Sorry, Dan. Again, thank you so much for the donation. Not going to comment on that one. Alex, trying to be positive about going against Carolina, but if the team doesn't get it together, they will lose big time. Hope they do. That's the thing. Why even think that? Why not think? I know where our brains go. We see this performance against Chicago, and we're like, what if something bad happens? But what we want to do, we want to spread the love throughout all Habs land into, like, what if they do something great, right? What if Columbus loses tomorrow? This is like, why not shift that perspective? Instead of panicking, than just inducing panic on ourselves. Why not just think like, yeah, what if something good happens? What if Columbus just loses tomorrow and then there's no stress in that next game? That's what we have here. Again, thank you so much, Alex. But Jesse, again, like, that's the thing that we always share the positivity. I know there's not all people don't always agree with it, but that's why we stay every single day positive, because again, at the end of the day, all we can do, we can work with what the Montreal Canadiens give us. I have a ton of hope, and I know this team got here with what they've done, and I know Demidov's unbelievable. Why not think in a positive light? That's what we're doing. I know not everyone will, and that's totally fine too. Like, guys, feel free to be pissed off, because that's a very reasonable reaction. But at the same time, Jesse, again, the hope never dies with us. That's what I'm saying.
For sure. And I know it's kind of hurting right now because we're feeling like that spot was kind of right there. It's still definitely not over whatsoever. It's just, once again, this even just keeps giving. It's not the first time that we've had those ups and those downs, and this is really just kind of part of it here. But all of this right now is really the Montreal Canadiens, how they kind of face the situation. If they're able to really get out of this on the other side, and if this pressure cooker that much more, they're just going to be that much more prepared for the playoffs when it comes around, of really playing meaningful games right to the end and kind of getting that confidence boost of knowing even when they're down, like, this is a team we have to remember that is so good when they're in the third period down by a goal, of finding a way to kind of tie it up and then kind of find a way to make it happen. Even though we weren't able to get those 2 points, I'm really feeling like that for this team, just for this season. I'm just kind of finding a way, even if the odds were stacked against us. This isn't anything new. Like, this is the way that it's been all year. We weren't meant to be in this position. Do we need to kind of fight a little bit now to kind of secure our spots? Yes, absolutely. But as reinforcements on the way, do I believe that this team's going to really kind of rally when it matters the most? Absolutely. And learning to kind of win in these key moments, and kind of go through those stressful situations will be that much better for this team in the long run.
Absolutely. Like, yeah, you're learning, right? It's a young team on the precipice of the playoffs. It'd be crazy if they weren't nervous. Like, this is an incredibly young team. Some of the guys have been there before. A lot of them haven't. And again, everything's a learning experience. We are here way before anyone ever thought we'd be here. Everything we do right now, it's better to have that learning experience when Demidov's 19 years old, when Slav is just turning 21, when Caufield and Suzuki are still 25 and younger, rather than it happen 2 years from now when we finally get over that hump and make the playoffs and get in that contentious zone. We're in this spot now. It's unbelievable. RM Real Estate Production says, I haven't been this stressed out watching a game in a long time. Beyond stoked for Demidov's first game, though. Like, that's the thing. It is stressful at this point of year. Every single game. Thank you again so much for the donation. But, like, again, like, I don't know, Jesse, for as much as the stress I had, every single time Demidov stepped on the ice, I feel like I was relieved of it. It was incredible.
Yeah, no, it was just unreal. Like, again, what a debut. Like, it's hard to kind of, we've been covering him all year, just the fact of him coming over this much sooner and just getting to it right away. Like, if this is any sign of what is to come from Ivan Demidov and the Montreal Canadiens, like, this is just going to be absolutely unreal in terms of what he can really kind of bring to this team and really be that difference maker. Like, we're seeing right away, he came in my opinion, he was the best player for the Montreal Canadiens in a lot of ways there. So, again, if this is kind of that starting point, we know that the bar was already really high with Hudson, and we were kind of hedging our bets like, oh, will he actually maybe like be better than Hudson, or maybe not, maybe, because that's a pretty high bar, right? But Demidov is saying right away, like, he knows what this team really needs, and he's coming here to supply that.
Absolutely. And honestly, I see a lot of people in chat talking about how he must have felt so much pressure to produce tonight. First of all, I don't think he did. And even if he did, the kid's built for the limelight. Like, he set pressures what he loves the most. So, and you know what? That showed tonight. Because even late in the game, when the Habs fans were nervous, he was making crazy plays. So, unreal stuff. Next super chat. Filip the Tank Poirier. Michkov gets the Habs in the playoffs before Reinbacher. Yeah, that's right, because the Flyers, I believe, are playing the Blue Jackets tomorrow. So, it's coming down to Michkov's shoulders. He can actually put the Habs into the playoffs. Oh, how poetic would that be if he managed to beat out the Columbus Blue Jackets. So, thank you, Filip. Again, Jesse, that's, again, we got to root for Michkov tomorrow, eh? I mean, it feels a bit weird, but I don't mind. I like watching him. I think he's a fun player.
No, that's it. They're on a little bit of a run right now, but obviously that it's going to be hard to kind of keep that going right now So yeah, no, we're all going to be eagerly watching that game.
Absolutely. Next chat, Ethan saying, whoops, got to go over here. Ethan, imagine if Newhook got that pass from Demidov in OT, OMG, $5. Yeah, Jesse, that play is going to haunt me because I think he didn't see him. I could hear it before I could even see it develop, right? You could hear the crowd buzz, but the way Newhook gathered the puck, like, I just think he didn't really have a chance. And when he finally looked, he tried, but he couldn't quite get it. That's one of those plays that I'm going to be thinking about down the stretch. But, I mean, again, just having Demidov on the ice there, the fact that he was even in a position to have a breakaway in overtime was crazy. Like, I felt like every second that he was out there is similar to how I felt about Hudson a lot of this year. Is just like, he has that aura. I hate to use that word, but like, he's out there and I'm like, oh yeah, something special is going to happen. Straight up. Like every single time he's on the ice, which is crazy.
Yeah, every time he's touching, and just imagine obviously the storyline there of getting on a breakaway in your first game in overtime there. But yeah, no, obviously we will see him in the shootout. He will definitely be a very important part of this team. He is an amazing tool, and you have to feel like Martin St. Louis will start going to some of his best players, even really kind of like early on there. But obviously Cole Caufield's been amazing kind of goal scorer this year. You can't fault him for, three of our best offensive players so far this year. But you have to feel like Demidov, obviously with that performance tonight, it's not going to be too long before he's getting in that mix.
No, he's going to get there for sure. And I see some people say, why do the Habs look lost in their own zone and outworked? Nerves. Like, that's the easiest explanation. And, like, for anyone that's been in basically do or die games, some people perform in those nervous situations, some people don't. But again, when you're up in that lead, you're just like, please don't lose, please don't lose. Your body does crazy things this late in the season. And even Adam Nicholas, I think, made some posts today about how your body starts to give up in these kind of nervous situations. So there's some crazy stuff there. There was a membership. Oh, there's so much I got to get through. Philippe Le Tank Poirier, again, thank you for becoming a channel member. I got to get through all these. There's so many, guys. We're going to have to call this in a couple minutes here, but you guys have been supporting so much. I got to keep going through the super chats. Let's see. What do we got next here? Simon Desjardins. Simon, thank you so much for being here. They don't deserve the playoffs. Plain and simple. Hey, Simon, guess what? So thank you again for being a Hall of Fame gym member, but I wanted to just say something, Jesse. I saw a stat the other day of teams going in hot to the playoffs, teams going in neutral to the playoffs, and teams going in cold to the playoffs. You know which of those has the best record in playoff series, I think since 2000? It's the teams going in cold. I'm just saying, you can find ways, like when you go into the playoffs and you can plan for one team, things change. Things absolutely change. Are we losing games at crucial times? Yeah, we're still getting the points. We're still getting into overtime. We're learning with a new player in the system. And like, as much as like, I do agree with what you're saying in the sense that like, we need to win to get in and they can't even do it. The pressure's on like crazy for literally one of the top 5 youngest teams in the league. And we're still on the precipice of making it, which is why I think this is just an absolutely incredible season.
Yeah, and again, bringing it to overtime for that second straight game there. So I have to feel like they'll really kind of figure out how to do it, but it's a little bit of a young team right now, kind of going through those pains a little bit. But again, I have full faith in this very young group.
Absolutely, Dan. Sorry, we like to stay positive. Whole team sucks. Some people better hope we make the playoffs. We're hoping. I'll leave it at that. Thank you again so much for your generosity tonight. Just we're trying to stay positive here, Dan. Just trying to stay positive. And look, you know what? I absolutely agree. First game, rookie number 1 in advanced stats. That is awesome. We'll take that as positivity. Love that. Mark Orr, one of our loyal members as well. The Habs have been keeping us on the edge of our seat to the last minute of most games. Why would they end the season? Why would the end of the season be any different? They just like keeping us on edge. Absolutely, Jesse. Oh, look, we got some trolls in the chat. Thank you so much to our mods for getting rid of the Mitch Marner troll because, yeah, clearly you got nothing better to do than come into a Habs chat. You got a lot of time on your hands there, but my goodness. This is this was a crazy game, Jesse. This is a crazy season, and guess what? We're just on the edge of our toes. That's not to say. We're on the edge of our seats, right on the edge of making the playoffs. I'm excited. We'll be talking tomorrow. I mean, we got Columbus versus Philly, some big stuff coming, Jesse. Any final words before we sign off here? There's a couple of big days, 2 big days in a row right now.
I just can't wait to see Ivan Demidov again on the ice for this Montreal Canadiens. It really only gets better from here. An amazing debut. We definitely tip our hat to him tonight, for obviously stepping up under a very, pressure-filled situation right now. And you have to feel like he's not done, and really just can't wait to see what he can do for this team.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. And thank you, Simone, for managing the chat. Someone came in with a Josh Gosse account and has my face as the player profile. But guys, that'll do it. On your way out, I just want to say we're going to be here every single day for all the playoffs because we are going to make it, all the draft, all the offseason. Subscribe right now. We're about 150 away from 20,000. It's completely free. We got all your news. But that'll do it for this live episode of Habs Digest. If you enjoyed, leave a like, comment, and most importantly, subscribe to the channel. Thank you all so much for the generosity, the donations tonight. What an incredible stream. We'll be back next game on Wednesday. We'll be talking to you tomorrow. We'll be keeping you updated all playoffs long. I'm Josh Gosse, my co-host, Jesse Poirier. We'll catch you on the next one.